Hello folk, welcome to this website and more importantly my office. What I'm sharing on this website is the information and the details I learned on my 20-year journey from moving from having a negative attitude and gradually changing it to having a positive attitude pretty much 24/7. Sure, there's hiccups and that's life, and I have to jolt myself to get back onto positive thinking. However, what I'd like to do first for you is give you an exercise where you can check your own level of attitude, be it from negative to positive. So what you're going to need for this is a pencil and or pen and paper. And if you haven't got one now, I suggest that you just stop the video and come back to it in a moment. So with the exercise, what I'm going to do is ask you two questions in quick succession. I want the first answer that pops into your mind to be the answer that you write down. And then the second question, exactly the same thing, the first answer that pops into mind. Now, what we're going to do is be gauging ourselves from 1 down at negative to 10 up at positive. So as I guide you through the questions, I'll be counting up from 1 up till 10. So remember, first answers are the ones that you write down. Okay, so let's get ready to start. What I would like you to do is put your pen or pencil in the opposite hand that you write with. Yes, I know it's going to be tricky, but let me assure you, you will be able to do it. Okay, so the first question is, remember the first answer, 1 is negative and 10 is positive. The first question is, where would you rate your level of attitude now from negative to positive? From 1 as negative, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as to 10 as positive. And the second question, where would you like your level of attitude from negative to positive to be? Starting from 1 as negative, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 as positive. Okay, so you should have two answers, two numbers that you will have written down. And the reason is that what I've done with you is I've helped you assess yourself what your present level of attitude is from 1 at negative to 10 at positive, and you might have rated yourself at 3, you might have rated yourself at 7, you might be 0, you might be 9. So your present level of attitude, and then the second question I've asked you is where you would like your attitude level to be. So if you were at 3, you might have put 7, if you were 8, you might have put 10, whatever. So it's so that you can see between those two numbers the difference from how you think right now, this present moment, to where you would like to think in the future. Now, 99% of people have different numbers. So if you've got different numbers, that's great. When I did this exercise first, I was way down the bottom, but now I'm way up the top. So what I did with you is that I worked with your brain by getting your brain busy thinking, how am I going to write a 3 backwards, or how am I going to write a 7 backwards, or how am I going to write whatever number it is backwards? So I had your left side of your brain, your analytical side, working, and when I worked with you asking the question, what flowed up from your spirit, your soul, your right mind, right side thinking, whatever you would like to call it, is the actual number that you feel. So feeling versus thinking was the basis behind that exercise, which is why I got you to muddle your brain up so that we could get what you really feel. So whatever your number is, if it's 3 to 7, you've actually shown yourself by the exercise we've just done that you would actually like to think more positively in your life. And that's where the attitude training program comes in. And let me assure you, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and hours learning what I have put in that program for you. But before you go, I'll share you another tip, and this is probably one of the tips that I found that was really helpful for me. Besides, when your mind is thinking negative, if you just read a quote or read a poem, which is why I'm so into poems and quotes and things like that, you've actually got your mind thinking something positive as you read the poem or the quote, rather than whatever you were thinking that's negative. So that's one tip. But going back to the tip that I mentioned, is that if you think that and visualize on your mind a big up here letter no, it is visualizing no. And when I've done this exercise for myself, I've been thinking a negative thought, and I would do it when my daughters were teenagers and hopefully they were going to come home safe and sound, and I'd be worrying. So I'd think no, and I'd visualize this up on my brain, and stop my brain from thinking no, I'm not going to think that negative thought, and I would replace it with the thought I'm going to see them coming home happy and safe, etc. And I would continue on doing that exercise until I had actually, felt much happier within myself, and I'd fall off to sleep until they came home and woke me up again, of course. But what I was doing with that exercise was just getting you to visualize stopping your brain with no in big block letters up here on your forehead, so that you can see it and visualize it when you're thinking about it. And no, I'm not going to think that thought, I'm going to think something positive. So there's a couple of things for you. We've just tested your attitude. I'll give you a couple of tips. Was the reading something positive, and also that second exercise. So the website's got lots of information on it. Read through it, and look, let's face it, the whole world's waiting there for you, but you've just got to be ready to make the effort to turn your world around. And if we think about it, when you were born with no thoughts, no attitude, no self-esteem, no knowledge, and along the journey you've learned to read and to write, and all those things have gone into your brain, and so has the thoughts that have helped create the way that you think now. So what we're looking at is changing those thoughts bit by bit so that you can have whatever you want in life. So good luck. Email me if you've got any questions. Have a fabulous day.